Up next on Live It Up, we are with Lou Vaccarelli, and he happens to be our executive producer, but I've known him for a long time. We're going to hear all about his music industry days. Welcome to the show, Mr. Vaccarelli.
The only reason I agreed to be on
is
because I'm so overtired. I'm worn out. I can't. 3 hours sleep, 2 hours sleep.
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
And you said yes. Yeah. So actually, it's a rainy day here on Long Island.
I know.
And for the last 5 years that you've been working on the show, I've asked you to just kind of come and do a one-on-one. You finally said, yeah, you would.
Yes.
So were you inspired today by our musical guest?
No,
We had some great guests.
No, I was inspired by Ken, our director of photography, and Tony. Yeah, because we decided we're going to do our own segment, like the Man Show.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, the three of you are going to have your own show?
Yeah, I haven't decided what to call it yet.
There you go. Yeah. So you started out...
The guys. The guys.
I'm trying to do my job, Mr. Vaccarelli.
Show. Okay, go ahead.
So, oh my goodness. Okay. I was going to really, truly want to shine a light on you and your career because you have accomplished, I know you think you got the giggles, but you've actually accomplished a lot. You were one of the most humble men in the industry that I know. You have worked for many record labels, the head of production. You've done a lot. Can you talk to us about how you got that first job, though, in the record business? Because first you were working in printing.
Yeah, I worked for a printer. It was the worst year of my life, working for a printer. It was very disappointing. Okay. Because I went to school for graphic arts and advertising technology and printing management, and I started working for a direct mail advertiser in production, and it was the worst year of my life. I mean, I couldn't do anything right. I realized they didn't learn anything in school, at least so the head of production at that company told me, "You know nothing, Vaccarelli," and I believed them. So I gave it a year. In those days, they said give every job a year, so I gave it a year. And I applied for a job at CBS Corporate in buying printing for them. Over the Memorial Day weekend, I became a genius.
Because everybody likes to
I got hired to start the day after Memorial Day and couldn't do anything wrong. It was like, I'm a genius. So, I mean, the lesson there is that you need to have the right fit and work in the right atmosphere, the right creative element, and then you become more acclimated and become. So I worked at corporate for a year and a half. I was the youngest buyer of paper in New York City at that particular point in time.
And you also look very young. So a lot of times when you would go in, you know, there was one story that you shared with me before where you went in and you were there to take an order and the guy thought you were somebody's kid.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share that story?
Well, I mean, a lot of people probably nowadays don't know Frank Stanton, who was the president of CBS, Bill Paley, but they were very reachable. And I used to buy, like I said, I bought printing for them also. So I bought all the logos for CBS, the CBS networks, all the different divisions. Columbia Records was one of them. Then I went through the change from Columbia Broadcasting System to CBS Inc. because they were more than just network television and radio. They had Holt Reinhardt Winston, which was a publisher, and they had Columbia Records, and they had they started a DVR division, and so we went through all of that. And Lou Dossman, who worked for, I can't remember the name of the art director that designed the eye.
Oh, the CBS eye, the logo?
CBS eye. Oh. So again, you're talking about 1971 when I was with CBS. And Howard Aronson, who was the director then, brings me in to introduce me to Lou Dossman. And he thought it was a practical joke. All right, whose kid is he? Well, how old was I? 21, but I looked like I was 15 probably. I was getting carded when I was 32 yet.
Wow.
But
and so then you said, no, I'm the new buyer.
No, I'm really
that's me.
I'm the guy.
You've had a lot of funny, great experiences over the years, and you've been responsible for so much. Head of production is responsible for ordering the vinyl, ordering the jackets, ordering the art.
Yeah, when I was with Columbia Records, I started with Columbia Records buying packaging materials, so that was the LP jackets. But when I started with Columbia Records, we were doing a few different configurations at the same time. So cassettes had just started out, so we were still doing 8-track. We were doing LPs, we were doing a reel-to-reel yet, and all those graphics had to match so that you could see it on the shelf. And sometimes retail would sell it side by side, although the cassettes were locked away, and that's whole different marketing strategy. Also went through the era of barcodes when barcodes first came into existence.
Yeah, and how did that change the record industry? How did you, with the barcodes, all of a sudden somebody said, okay, well now this is how we're going to do the pricing.
Wasn't somebody said
right.
it, the retailer said it.
Right.
Retailers said, you need to barcode everything. Okay, oh my God, how do we do that? So, Vaccarelli, how do we barcode everything? All right, so went and figured out how to barcode. There's actually a place on Long Island, can't think of the name of it now.
Scantron?
Yes,
No?
something scan, something, whatever. They created scanners and they helped with the creation of the Universal Product Code, which was the UPC code, which is a whole thing in and of itself.
Right.
100% barcode was about this big, so the art directors hated it because it took up too much real estate on the back of the LP. But then also the cassette, it was huge on the back of a cassette.
Speaking of
That's before
barcodes,
CDs.
who was the artist that you told me
Elvis Costello.
Yeah, what did he do with his album cover?
They hated it so much they made an album cover with just barcodes. I said, look, Vaccarelli, we're making barcodes. And that was John Berg, who was the Vice President of Creative Services. And I said, what good are they? They don't read. So you have contrast isn't there. Yeah. You can never talk to any of the art designers or the A&R people in the afternoon. Forget it.
Yeah,
Those
that's
are the
what you
days
said.
of the
Yeah.
3 martini lunches and very liquid. They would always ask me to come out. I said, I'm not that smart. I can't drink and then come back. And
You needed to stay on top of your game. Well, yeah, you were responsible for millions and millions of dollars of ordering.
Yeah.
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 And it was your name.
At Columbia Records, they had their own factory. We were making 1 million LPs a day, cassettes, and then when we got into CDs in 1983, CDs, and it was about buying all the vinyl, the PVC, so my department purchased all of the raw materials for the 3 manufacturing facilities.
And even the printed circle labels that are inside.
Printed circle labels. Martin Fisher. I'll give a shout out to Martin Fisher. Keystone Printed Specialties. They printed almost every record label since records first started. His grandfather started the business.
So as time was progressing and you saw LPs kind of waning and going into CDs.
Well, LPs didn't really wane until the cassette started to
Oh, it was the cassette?
goes up.
Okay.
Yes. And because we had 2 configurations, people buying both. I remember Walter Yetnikoff wanted us to figure out how to reduce the price of the cassette because the cassette was always $1 or $2 more at retail. And I said, well, you know what? That little cassette and the raw materials around it only cost 50 cents. I can give it to you for free. I said, the most you can reduce it is 50 cents. So you have to do something else. So Yetnikoff, the brilliant man that he was, said, well, let's just raise the price of the LP. And that's what they did.
Oh, okay.
They raised the price of the LP so that the price of the cassette would be the same. Once the 2 configurations were the same, then that's when the LP started to wane because the cassette was more portable. The cassette was supposed to be like a reel-to-reel, since it spun from one side to the other, which was in audiophile ways, okay, it means they always thought the reel-to-reel was the best quality.
Because it sounded like the recording tape that they had been recording on, is that why?
Exactly, an exact copy of almost what was in the studio.
How about you, listening preference? Do you prefer, records or CDs? Does it matter to you, or?
I listen to satellite radio. Channel 26.
There you go.
Classic vinyl.
There you go.
And 70s.
Favorite record, though, that you would play over and over and over again?
Moody Blues, In Search of the Lost Chord.
Moody Blues?
I wore it out.
You did?
Actually, yeah. I wore out the first side. I never discovered side B, and a lot of people never discovered the second side of the LPs until the CD, which played it straight through. But you had to turn the record over. If you didn't never turn the record over, you never discovered the second side.
So you just like the first side so much?
Which is actually pretty good, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then that was when I was in college. And then, I really liked when I was at Columbia Records, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, Boston, Isley Brothers, OJs. I had a broad range of music likes.
You've been to everything. You went to the Grammys. You got to see Michael Jackson in person, like in the front row with his family. I mean, you've had some great experiences.
Right.
Anything stick out for you?
Anything stick out?
Yeah, like favorite memories along the way, even up until today. Anything in your journey,
Actually, with you meeting Tony Bennett.
Oh, that was amazing.
Special, some of the questions that we asked some of the artists from the olden days, Probably my best half-hour segment was the T. Joe Mantell 40th anniversary, where we interviewed Alice Cooper and Clive Davis and REO Speedwagon. That was a lot of fun.
That was a great night. And the guy from Train, Pat, he's like, oh, he goes, live it up. He goes, I want to. I said, oh yeah, you could name
Pat,
it. Just yeah. So
That is last name. In any case, going to
Monahan. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. We always can rely on.
I know. It's like, where are we at?
Going to the beauty pageant that we went to.
Oh yeah, Miss America. That
Miss
was
America,
fun.
when our camera guy got sick and I had to film.
Yeah, I was grateful for that. I know. So you've transitioned from your printing days to the music industry to the television industry.
Who knew that I could produce a TV show?
I know. Well, we're thinking that we want to get you in film. We want to get you in film too. Going to get you on in front of the camera as an actor.
Yes.
So this little visit that we've just been having was maybe an audition that you just didn't even know about.
Okay. Well.
So let's see.
Either a godfather or a priest. What do you guys think?
I don't know. Maybe one. Maybe the godfather turned priest. That's happened before,
Or vice versa.
There you go. Mr. Vaccarelli, Lou, thank you very much for joining us.
They already gave you that.
And when
gave you the time up?
Yeah, it's always been time up, but that's okay. You can always come back.
Was anybody here? Do we have a guest?
You can always come back.
Is there a guest here?
Is there a guest here? Yes, there's always
no guest here yet.
Well,
so we can keep going. We're going to run out of card?
No, we're not going to run out of card. Okay. Would you like to talk about anything else? What did I not ask you that you wanted to talk about? What did I not ask you?
Am I encroaching into this?
Yeah. What did I not ask you that you wanted to talk about?
No.
You know what I also want to know? What happens
how many plays?
The record club.
How many plays?
Yeah.
Do you get out of an LP?
How many plays? Was that like the lick of the lollipop?
How
many plays do you get out of an LP?
No.
721.
It was made. The LP was made to give you 100 plays.
Only 100.
Because its stylus is actually scraping against the vinyl, and then it starts to degrade.
Did you do that on purpose so that people have to buy more?
No.
No. It would have been clever.
You can't help it. When you have
favorite artwork on a jacket.
How did it end up being 33 1/3?
I don't know.
Instead of 45.
How did it end up being that?
RCA and Columbia were in an argument. RCA was always about higher quality. Columbia was more about marketing. Okay, so the higher quality is a faster spinning disc, which is 45 RPMs, but you get less music on 12 inches. Okay, but 33 1/3, you got more music on it, so they can market more. So you had 10 tracks on one versus only 8, I think it was, on the other.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
16 RPM. If you look at a record player, what is 16 RPM? Okay.
Revolutions per minute.
Yes, but why is it 16, 33 1/3, 45, 78? The 16 was transcription discs.
Like speaking talks?
Very slow,
okay.
And you can get a lot of time on it. But it wasn't just speaking; it was radio. And RCA had the Radio Corporation of America, and they would use transcription discs to record the whole radio show. So some of it would be music, some of it would be just speaking, but we had, again, when I was with RCA, I was responsible for the archives. That's a whole other era. I was responsible for the archives, and my archival people were able to get some of these transcription discs. We're also responsible for the studio, and we would studiorize it, separate the sound, the voice from the music, from the background sound, and we were able to recreate some of the old radio shows, Frank Sinatra, Tom Dorsey, and.
Didn't you find lost archives of Elvis stuff too that had not been published? Then you helped.
Yeah, on the back end. That's during the days of trying to save money. The studios would actually record over tape. In the days of tape, we would actually record over tape. So there was Elvis product we accidentally found at the back end of somebody else's recording. So then I had the archivists, whenever they had free time, start to go to the back end of tapes and look forward to see what kind of old archive. In the archives, you just don't archive things, you have to be able to play them back. So all of the archive that we had, RCA Records at the time was over 150 years old, so we had Edison discs, but you have to have something to play it on.
Oh, okay.
So, but that was just the finished product, so you have to have the mastering equipment to play it back on. So we had to have 2 of everything. The archives itself was like a history, it was like a museum in and of itself, in the limestone cave. We have in Pennsylvania. We had a limestone cave.
Did you ever sign your name on the cave or do a cave
drawing?
On
the cave wall? No.
No?
No.
Maybe someday. I don't know. But, Bruce Springsteen's "Born in the USA"
Yeah,
was
that
one of the
was,
very first CDs ever.
Yeah, that was Sony Disc Manufacturing had presented me with the first CD they made in the United States. That just happened to be, I think it was done on purpose. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's,
They wanted to.
Born in the USA.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thank you. Are we complete now? Could
That
you
was
come
it?
back again?
That's it?
Yeah, well, we have other guests, and I know,
Yeah.
and I know you're all
Do we
about
have
taking
anybody
care.
here?
Yeah, I know you're all about taking
Nobody's
care of
here.
our guests.
Okay. You got me now.
Does that mean you're not going to come back again?
No, I mean,
Are you kidding?
no.
All right, well then let's talk about Dirty Dancing.
Oh, okay.
So let's
What
talk
about
about that success, that huge success that you were in
Yeah.
charge of that too.
Yeah, that was when I first started at RCA, 1988, January of '88. The album, this movie came out in the summer of '87. The album came out just before it. There's always an argument with the record company and the movie, what should lead, the music or the movie. So, because RCA was relatively new, that was Rick Dobbs, Bob Buziak days, and Michael Mansky days. And so they led with the music, and the music that they chose to lead with was Jennifer Warren, Bill Medley. Radio hated it. They didn't want to play it because it was too old, olden days. Meanwhile, the whole soundtrack is oldies. Right? The movie becomes a big hit. They still won't play it. They tell me the records are going to start coming back because it's 6 months in. Music is a consignment business, so they sold 1 million copies. So I'm ordering 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, another 10,000. I'm ordering in small quantities like this. You know, a year later, I'm still ordering like this. I finally say to Mike, hey, Mike, how about we step out a little bit and let's order some more? So 10 million units later
Wow.
of ordering 100,000 at a time. It was unbelievable. They, yeah, so somebody stole anybody out there that has my 10 million plaque. When I left RCA, they took my 10 million plaque. Left me with Wu-Tang Clan.
There you
Which is
go.
now they're doing a series
Yes.
on Hulu about Wu-Tang Clan.
And your Dave Matthews plaque we have hanging in our office, which is
Yes.
nice. You've won a Popeye.
Yes.
You've won Telly's
For
from the
Elvis.
television show,
No,
but yeah.
Popeye for Elvis, stand-up, end cap. Yeah, won 2 Tellys here.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to our Grammy.
And an Emmy. And an Oscar.
Yes.
And all of them. It's just like we'll line them all up. We'll have one of every flavor.
On the back shelf here.
You've done a lot. Anybody you want to say thank you to? Not me, silly. I meant like my friend Donna Drake. No, like along the journey, who was nice to you? You've opened up so many doors because whenever we go out, people are always thanking you for saying, "Oh my gosh, I had this job, I lost my job. Lou found me another job before I even lost my job." You know, you've done so much for others, but who has like done something nice for you along the way?
Okay, probably, my first job at CBS was with Rudy Sundvik, and let me do my thing, basically. And then I moved on to Columbia Records, where they told me, don't go because the director of purchasing up there, excuse me, director of purchasing there was pain in the ass. They said nobody could be as bad as my first job. So I still thank Mort Harris for being the pain in the ass that he was, because anything since then was easy. Mort Harris has passed, so he's okay.
He's okay, yeah. He's not going to be like
Thank you,
Manny.
Mara.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and then Joe Massimino, who's the director of purchasing, that was supposed to be not too easy to work for, but all he was demanding. So that's okay, You know what his moods are. He was moody and demanding, and that's an easy person to work for. I'm actually hard to work for because I'm too even-tempered. You don't know my mood, so you don't know when to ask me for something. Who else? Well, Rick Dobbs, Bob Buziak, Michael Mansky, when I went on to RCA, and Joe Galante, when he was president.
And
I
then
reported
after-
to 17 different people when I
Oh.
was at RCA and BMG in 15 years,
Really?
sometimes 2 at the same time.
So you stayed and you were just kind of like training your next boss along the way.
No. What
almost.
they would do is
Right.
they didn't know where to put me, I think.
Okay. Utility player.
Until Strauss Zelnick came in and was president of the whole division. Kevin Zinger, who I'm trying to get on the show, who's the executive vice president. He was good to work for.
And I want to
Mike
ask you
Jason.
about the printing too. Like, how jackets used to come in with the artwork printed on the jacket, but then you created
It's
an
the
opportunity. Oh, okay, opposite.
They were
It came in
labeled.
as a wrap.
If you look at a jacket, old jackets, they're paper labeled, okay, and they're wrapped. And then they came out with these double jackets, okay, but you couldn't have continuous artwork. So we figured out how to do continuous artwork around it. Then they came out with the print on board jacket, which was expensive because if you had too much inventory, you had to throw away the whole jacket instead of just paper. So then we created the wrap pack, which they wanted to call it the Vac pack, but I said nah. So we did this wrap pack where we had paper mounted to the jackets, but you still had continuous artwork around the back. Then how do you identify when the jacket was printed and who printed it? If you lift up the flap, we created a clock. So January, February, March, 12 months, the date, the year in the middle, then an SW for Shorewood, an IV for Ivy Hill, the different AGI, different printers. Because sometimes you had to have more than one printer. But if there was a problem with the jacket, you didn't know who printed it. But now you could lift it up and see who printed it.
Anyway, Lou Vaccarelli.
Yes.
Thank you once again. The third time I said goodbye to you.
I know.
Once, twice, three times.
Nobody's here.
No, but I'm happy. You know what it is? They actually are here, but you can't hear them. But they're in the hall.
They're in?
They are. All right. Stay tuned for more. I might be back with Lou Vaccarelli. I might have another guest. Thanks for watching.
Okay.